Match 65, Gabara vs. Goliath, by Joshua Reynolds. Monster Island was empty. The world's finest were out.
Again.
Yes, again. The world's finest. The world's finest were out protecting this fair world from whatever alien threat that now plagues it. Godzilla
After I
and
left the
Hey,
island.
they were taking a vacation.
again, Godzilla, Anguirus, and even Gorosaurus left Monster Island alone, or at least almost alone. Only three monsters
Where they
were
finally invited him along.
yeah, only three monsters remained behind: Gabara, Minilla, and the newest denizen who flew in from the previous match, Goliath. The monsters had been gone for almost a week now, and Minilla was expecting horrors at the hands of both bullies, unlike that of any other. But there was a problem. One major problem. Goliath and Gabara had yet to become aware of one another. The towering blue beast, known simply as Goliath, had been on the prowl. The monster waded through trees, his nasal horn surging with electrical bliss and launching bolts of lightning at Manilla's feet as Godzilla's son cried and ran for cover. The gray midget of a monster leaped into the air, crying in pain as the electrical bolts surged through his crotch and into his skull. Damn!
That's gonna hurt.
Poor Minya.
Oh. There is something called overkill, right?
Yeah.
Like there is a point where it's basically like I just noted like most Stephen King films, it's like the bully isn't just a bully, he's basically a psychotic murderer that parents are just like, okay, sure.
Yeah,
allow this.
totally. As dirt and dust spread forth, Minilla began to crawl, whimpering as Goliath roared and chuckled behind the squirming monster. After several moments of this torture, Minilla managed to get to his feet and limp for cover behind a gigantic boulder. Goliath continued to roar, flailing his limbs as his electrical bolt smashed into his opponent, or into the opposite face, making it crack and splinter. For a brief moment, Minilla sighed in relief. He rested his head against the rock, but as he turned to see the side, turned his head to the side and opened his eyes. What he saw made him scream in terror. Ah! Staring less than a few meters away, Gabara's green cat-like face sneered. The ogre let out a high-pitched laugh and pushed Minilla away from his rock. Exposed to Goliath again, Godzilla's son looked back at both of his tormentors. Goliath chuckled and surged energy through his horn, but soon his red eyes moved to the green behemoth walking out from behind the rock. The two creatures eyed one another. Oh my. They began moving and posing, showing their strength and muscles to one another. Oh, I think there's going to be I think they're trying to. I think this is a mating dance, but I could be wrong. Pass.
Their intimidation tactics failed. Godzilla's son looked between them, and as he stood up, reaching out, Gabara pushed the little one behind him and pointed into the jungle. Knowing what Gabara was trying to say, Minya charged the lush jungles and jumped for cover. The two bullies, however, never stopped staring at one another. Countless seconds.
Their intimidation tactics can never go up against Titanosaurus' sick intimidation tactics.
Oh yeah, totally.
He's still staring to this day. Still staring. Countless seconds went by before the two suddenly charged one another. The ground shuddered as the two collided, like cars on the interstate. Because that's what they do. Clouds of dust were kicked up from their feet as both smashed hammer-like fists on one another. Lifted his arms, forming an X shape and catching Goliath's left arm because Gabara knows Kung Fu, apparently. As the dinosaur-like monster let out a hellish scream, his right arm smashed into Gabara's chest, sending the ogre flying back with a wheeze. Anyone else just imagine him just like screaming at the top of his lungs like a psychotic person, like, ah!
I think that'd be fit more of Gabara.
It's like, literally, he's just like, how dare you! The ogre's horn began to whiz to life and glow purple as he channeled electrical might into his fists. As he stood up, Goliath was already on him. Bolts of power launched from his horn, striking Gabara in the face. A shower of sparks flew to the ground as Gabara was pushed back down, doing a barrel roll across the dirt before standing up with a quick cry.
Double barrel roll.
Yeah, doesn't that fit? Because isn't Gabara a frog or a toad or something?
Yeah, he's like a
mutated
toad.
See, it works. The callback, it's real.
Well, it makes sense.
He just needs a plane now.
It makes sense for Gabara to be flippy.
Yes.
Yep.
The faces of horror. Goliath smashed his fist against his chest and his legs buckled. Like a frog, the demon leaped through the air with sudden speed and accuracy. Gabara sidestepped just in time, because obviously as a frog, he knew this was coming. Before the monster could lash out again, Gabara's electrical mist smashed into Goliath's side. Pain tore through his abdomen as thousands of volts raced from the impact point. The blue demon fell to his knees, but he managed to lash out with his tail, clubbing it against Gabara's side. Taken by surprise, the ogre again fell. As Goliath pushed himself back to his stance, he reached down, grabbing both of Gabara's ankles. The original bully of Monster Island squealed like a tire as his foe began to spin. After a few spins, Gabara's body was pulled off the ground. Pass.
Goliath roared triumphantly after the sixth spin of drifting on Gabara. His fingers released the grip on Gabara's ankles, and the ugly kaiju was sent hurtling headfirst, ducked for cover behind. The ogre screamed on impact as the entire boulder split in half, a rock bouncing off his green, warty skin. As Gabara rolled to his back, grabbing his now bloody skull, Goliath approached. The dinosaur-like warrior clamped his paws together and surged more power into his horn. From the tip, more lightning fired out, striking the ground around Gabara and making the ogre scream in rage and terror, and random cat noises. Almost 30 seconds, continuing his relentless assault as Minilla watched his two tormentors fight from within the jungle somewhere, getting pleasure from it. Finally, after almost a minute, Goliath surveyed the area. Nothing could be seen through the dust and smoke, only small embers on some of the impact areas. Wondered Goliath. Goliath chuckled and snarled, bashing his chest again, but suddenly he was cut off. Walking through the dust, Gabara emerged like a hero from many cliched stories, his horn surging with unrivaled brilliance instead of a sword. Goliath snarled in anger and charged forward again. Wait, what paragraph is this?
You got 3 more.
1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm on my fourth. Okay. Gabara bellowed and ran forward, and for the second time, the pair of kaijus clashed, trading godly blows. Sparks began to rise from blows from each as they enhanced their attacks with electricity. Lifting up his arm, headed the other, forcing Goliath back. As the ogre swung out again, Goliath's arm lashed out, catching the fist. The monster snarled and began to channel electricity into Gabara's body. The ogre screamed in rage and channeling his own power into Goliath. The two remained like this, charging each other with surging hellish amounts of power into one another. Both their horns began to flash and surge as each one created and absorbed energy from each. Gabara began to chuckle as Goliath's eyes began to widen. The face began to warp and bulge as whatever organ rested in it, creating and using electricity, began to overload. From the jungles, Minilla poked his eyes out and watched, eating popcorn, laughing manically like the Pikachu monster he is. Pass.
Goliath's energy began to weaken, but Gabara's continued to work. The reason was simple. Gabara had much more experience and workout with his electricity, and now it was showing. Foam began to fall
Just
from
like a
Goliath's
Pikachu.
jaws. Yeah, like Pikachu.
Exactly like Pikachu.
Yeah, Gabara's Pikachu.
I knew it.
Foam began to fall from Goliath's jaws, and his body began to stiffen. His horn, the source of his strength, began to crack and splinter. Gabara's devilish eyes watched with glee for several seconds before the entire thing burst into shards. Goliath screamed in pain, and Gabara released his victim, allowing Goliath to stumble back. Crying in pain and horror as splinters of his horn rained around the area, giving all three monsters nasty splinters. Looking at Gabara, Goliath felt fear for the first time. Ow, the edge.
You know, unlike that time he got kicked out of the other match.
Yeah.
He didn't fear for himself when he was flying through the air.
With a high-pitched scream, the demon spun around and began to flee, flailing his arms to the side. Gabara crossed his arms and breathed deeply as Goliath fled and vanished from his sight. Suddenly, Manilla's donkey-like noises came from the side, and Godzilla's son rushed in, nodding at the ogre and arms wide open. Gabara's red eyes narrowed as he looked over, watching as Minilla charged in for a hug. Slowly turning around, the ogre lifted its foot and delivered a nasty kick to Manilla's face.
They're already deformed
Denied.
facing.
And suddenly this became the favorite match on the forum.
Yeah.
I can already hear Alex cheering. With a sound of agony and donkeys, Minilla fell back, clenching its head and rolling around as Gabara sneered again. If there's one thing that remains the same on Monster Island, it's that old habits die hard.
Boo!
Now.
Winner
It's
Gabara.
all ogre now.
Gabara will get along with Shrek.
Absolutely.
Probably.
They're both
I
ogres.
mean, they're both very ugly, and they're both green.
And
Yeah.
apparently they're both ogres.
Yes.
I
Even
mean,
though
Gabara is Shrek's uncle, as confirmed in Shrek vs. a Lot of Monsters.
Oh man.
The winner should also be Minilla.
He got kicked in the face. I don't think he won there. And got slapped in the nuts.
Minilla should have won.
But, oh man, this was actually kind of fun. I actually kind of like this one. Like two electrical.
Has anyone ever actually made a match where Godzilla got shocked in the crotch by something like King Ghidorah or
I don't
Goliath
think
or
so.
something like that?
To be fair, we got the films to cover us on that, but I don't think any of the matches have gone out of the way to shoot Godzilla in the crotch.
Not yet, at least.
Yeah.
I'm tempted to do that in the match I'm writing now.
No, I too am tempted to do that.
I guess apparently that will be rectified soon. Anyway, this match was actually a lot of fun. Like, it doesn't take itself as seriously, and thusly, it's just a lot more fun. Very short, very simple, but overall pretty effective. So.
Yep.
Just noticed that Gabara kind of looks like he's been drawn on or something. I don't know. For me, it looks like he's John in the banner.
Oh,
I think it's like a figure or something that they just used to color correct. The one thing for me is Goliath looks like he's like his face is bloated, like he's like there's like a jawbreaker in his like back of his mouth or something.
Oh yeah, I can kind of see
His
that.
cheeks look like extremely puffy.
Yeah, they kind of do. His cheeks look rather puffy.
Just fat.
Bulky, not fat.
he's thick, not fat.
Is he holding his tail?
I think the tail's supposed to be back there. I don't think he's supposed to be holding it.
I mean-
Or he could be.
That's not his tail.
He's about to use
He's
it like
trying
a
to fight
club.
like Show Godzilla. or he's just crashing from the other match right now.
But Gray Shot, do you have any remarks on this match?
No, not particularly. It was I like the bullish monsters fighting. I do like the fact that Gabara did win out of the two. He is I would say he's a preference. And yeah, the ending kick to Minilla's face I thought was well deserved.
That was hilarious.
Exactly. It was basically the dessert to a well deserved fight.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So yeah, another good. Though I will say I prefer the last. Still a good match. It's not one of my favorites, but I can see why people like it.
And this is Gabara's first legit victory. So.
And he just had to be the anti-hero.
Nagoda, Joe, do you guys have any remarks with this one?
Well,
You want to go first?
yeah, I'll go first. Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you guys. I do think it was a fun little match. I like that. Ray Shot said I like that the two bully monsters fighting, and I like that they both tried to. They were both absorbing their electricity, and it was Goliath that lost, basically. I thought that was a pretty cool moment. Though I will say, and it's unrelated to this match, but I think Goliath probably needs a win sometime.
Oh, totally. I agree. I hope there will be more.
I can assure you he's never going to get it.
I'd like to beg to differ. Anyway.
Okay, so something I liked about this match is like it starts off with everyone is gone from the island, and then it's just the two electric kaiju, and then the deformed son of Godzilla, and then it turns to them both bullying Minya, but then they both don't know about each other, and it turns into one of those classical both bullies meet and they don't like each other moments, and they start fighting.
And that's basically how you could sum it up.
Yeah, I need to bring this up. So, can Minilla be in the KWC because he was in this match?
No.
Because he technically did get into the fight. He got attacked like Baragon in Bagan versus Everyone Fallout. He did more. He probably did more than Baragon in this match.
He got shotgun in his cross to his skull and got kicked in the face.
While you all make excellent points, no. Because essentially, again, Godzilla Jr. in my mind is again a far better interpretation of the character, and one I do believe is, I would prefer him over Minya in like 1,000 times over. And again, it's mainly the fact of fightability as well. Whereas Minya, yes, you could say fought monsters. He didn't fight
his
them.
own battles, you know.
Yeah, and guess what? He lost the one where where I decided if he could get into the KWC or not. He gave me his argument, and I literally laughed and threw him outside. That's exactly what happened. Freaking MM picked him up and brought him back inside. He's like, "Hey, what if I made him Godzilla? Burning Godzilla."
That's right.
I thought it was super burning super Godzilla.
Super burning Minilla.
Super burning show of
Could that be
Godzilla.
I think we're killing Grace out here.
No.
Okay, anyway, That was match 65, and we'll see you guys next time for match 66. Either that or join us in the eventual behind the scenes for more of the silly shenanigans. Anyway,
Yeah.
take care, folks.
Later, guys.
Minilla for the KWC.